Imagine giving up your rights, your body, and your future, all in the name of science. Sounds unimaginable, right? But throughout history, there have been human experiments so unethical, so horrific, that they must never happen again. Today, we're counting down the top 10 human experiments that should never have happened. Experiments where ethics were thrown out the window and humanity paid the price. These are not just stories of scientific curiosity gone wrong. These are tales of human suffering, deception, abuse, and lasting trauma. Let's begin. Number 8. The Stateville Penitentiary Malaria Study. During World War II, researchers deliberately infected prisoners in Illinois with malaria to test treatments, offering reduced sentences in exchange for participation. While this might sound voluntary, the power imbalance in prison makes true consent questionable, and the ethics of leveraging a captive population for risky medical trials remains deeply problematic. Number 7. The Vipe Home Sugar Experiments. Between 1945 and 1955 in Sweden, scientists fed large amounts of sugar to institutionalized people with intellectual disabilities to intentionally cause tooth decay, trying to link sugar to cavities. Although the results helped dental science, the fact that powerless and vulnerable patients were knowingly harmed without informed consent means this experiment crosses every ethical line. Number 6. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study. One of the most infamous cases of medical racism in the United States, this decades-long study began in 1932 and watched African American men suffer and die from untreated syphilis, even after penicillin became a known cure. The men were lied to, denied treatment, and left to suffer so scientists could chart the disease's progression. This betrayal eroded trust in medicine for generations. Number 5. The Guatemala Syphilis Experiments. In the 1940s, US government researchers took unethical behavior even further by deliberately infecting hundreds of Guatemalan men, women, and children with syphilis and other sexually transmitted diseases without their informed consent, all to test treatments. Many suffered serious harm, and the study was only publicly exposed decades later. Number 4. Psychological torture experiments. Some government programs in the mid-20th century, such as MK-Ultra, secretly administered mind-altering drugs like LSD to unwitting subjects, including prisoners, psychiatric patients, and everyday citizens, to see how they could control or manipulate behavior. These experiments violated every tenet of consent and dignity, leaving many with lasting trauma. Number 3. Stanley Milgram's Obedience Experiments. A famous psychology study in the 1960s had participants believe they were shocking another person with increasing voltage simply because an authority figure told them to do so. While not physically injuring subjects, the psychological stress inflicted was intense, raising ethical questions about deceiving participants and causing emotional harm for research. Number 2. Nazi medical experiments. During World War II, Nazi doctors performed brutal experiments on prisoners in concentration camps without consent, infecting them with diseases, exposing them to extreme temperatures, and conducting inhumane surgeries. These atrocities were so appalling that after the war, they became legal evidence of medical war crimes and led to major reforms in human research ethics around the world. And finally, number 1 on our list, Unit 731, Japan's Biological Warfare Program. In World War II, Japan's Imperial Army established Unit 731 in occupied China, where scientists vivisected prisoners without anesthesia, infected them with plague, cholera, and other deadly pathogens, and tested biological weapons in ways that intentionally caused death and suffering on a massive scale. These experiments weren't just unethical. They were acts of torture and genocide disguised as research. These 10 experiments vary in context, methodology, and outcomes, but they are united by one thing: a fundamental disregard for the humanity of the subjects involved. Today, international ethics codes like the Nuremberg Code, the Declaration of Helsinki, and mandatory institutional review boards exist because of horrors like these, to ensure that respect, consent, and dignity are never overlooked again. But even with those protections, history has shown that blind trust in science without oversight can lead to grave abuses. So what can we learn from these dark chapters? First, informed consent isn't just a legal box to check. It's a moral imperative. Anyone participating in research must understand what's happening, why, and what the risks are. Second, power imbalances matter. Whether you're a prisoner, a child, an immigrant, or a mentally disabled person, research must protect those who are most vulnerable, not exploit them. Third, and most importantly, science without empathy can become cruelty in a lab coat. These experiments weren't just scientific failures, they were human tragedies. We honor the victims by remembering their stories, speaking their names, and using their suffering as a warning to ensure this never happens again. If you found this video eye-opening, let me know which case shocked you the most in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the strange and often dark history of science, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and thanks for learning from the past so we can build a more ethical future.